I'm mute. There we go. Welcome, 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 welcome. A little bit of technical difficulties, but you know how the StreamYard world goes. Welcome to a live edition of Down in the Den After Dark, and we have a very special panel today. We have my man, the political analyst of the century. He is an author, he is a writer, he is a podcast host, fashion, education. I know I'm missing something. It's probably an Avenger as well, but he is the one, the only Cameron Cohen. How you doing today, brother?
Oh no, there we go. I was muted. Hi, hello. Yes, all of those things. You do such nice intros for me.
Thank you. I'm available. I might have to put everybody says I have some great intros. I might have to put something on Fiverr if you guys need intros.
Right.
I can do them for you, but he is the founder and the creator of the Cameron Journal. It is a fantastic bit of education, especially in this environment that we are. We might have to do another politicking as usual very soon after I saw the old man Joe Biden fiasco that's going on, but that's neither here nor there. And here's his information, guys. If you want to go ahead and do me a favor and give him a follow, go ahead and do that right now, because he will keep you informed. He will keep you in the loop of what's going on in this world, and a nice, concise package that's easy to digest for some of us dummies out there that aren't as smart as Cam. But how's things been going, brother?
Oh, it has been busy, very, very busy, where I have a lot of new projects launching. I have a total editing revision bottleneck of books right now. I'm trying to finish 4 of them, which is too many. So it's been busy, but I will say this week, this interview on Club Shay Shay with Monique was 2 hours and 55 minutes and 13 seconds. And I sat there and watch the whole thing straight through, no skips. I did not pause to get a drink. I put it in my headphones. I was around the house. I was everywhere. I was absolutely 3 hours engaged. Like,
you are not the only one. Myself and Nique, who will be on here later, we looked at it, we saw, and we said, ooh, 2 hours and 55 minutes. I don't know if we're going to be able to make it through this in one digestible sitting. And before you knew it, the credits were coming up, and I was clicking the remote and wondering if I had missed something. I'm like, did I doze off? But I didn't. It was just...
No, I thought like 2:55. I'm kind of like, first of all, we're going to hear all the things. At 3 hours, we're going to hear all the things. And for a second, I'm kind of like, if this is half as good as Cat Williams, and I am so sad that I was on that show because I loved your guys' talking about it, like all this type of thing. I'm kind of like, Monique's going to be even better / worse / more dramatic sort of thing. And she just, just all of Black comedy, Black Hollywood, she just kind of took everybody to task. This is a woman who clearly has no fucks left to give. Like, let's face it, she has nothing left. She does not care anymore, and she's just willing to come right out and be kind of like, here's the issue, the thing, the problem, the whole thing. Yeah.
I think Shay Shay, Unc, as he's affectionately known in the community, I think he has found his lane. If you're disgruntled and you have a voice and you're ready to expose some people, come over to Club Shay Shay. He's the place to go.
It's kind of surreal as someone who grew up in Denver. He's been a part of our lives for a long time in the Mile High City. And it's very odd to that, like, I'm like, honestly, like, if I were the Shade Room, I'd be kind of like, oh, y'all are not the best game in town anymore. Move over, World Star. Move over, Shade Room. There's a new player in town, and it's it's a whole. I mean, I think this is going to be like the new standard. And like I said, here's the thing about it: it's days later. We're still all talking about it. It's been memed. It's been gift. The whole thing. And what I find is rather interesting, and it's been 3-4 days now. DL Hughley decided to have an issue. We'll get to him in a minute. Radio silence from Team Tyler Perry, Team Oprah Winfrey, Team Lee Daniel, like
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, Kings of Comedy, nobody has said a thing, like not an iOS press release, not a vague Instagram post, no thing, not a thing. And I think that is rather interesting. Now, I get Oprah's probably like not going back there, don't want to engage. And Tyler Perry's probably in the same camp. Don't want to go back there. It's been many years. Don't want to engage. Comedy folks, though.
That's kind of their thing.
The silence is deafening.
Yeah.
The silence is deafening. And I think if anything, with Taraji coming out and being like, doing The Color Purple we were not treated well and it was super crappy and not a great experience, all this type of thing. Monique's like, I tried to tell y'all 10 years ago what time it was at Miss Winfrey's plantation, and nobody believed me. And now someone else has come along and said it's also not pleasant working on the plantation to Winfrey. And now maybe you guys will finally believe me when I say this is how this woman operates. And I was thinking just before I got on, with like Whoopi being like, I wish you'd called me, I would have coached you. I said, Whoopi would have told her the same thing she already knew. Say yes, do the thing, they'll get you on the back, but the back never comes. But yeah, okay, so you made Lionsgate happy. Good for you. Like, that's great. Is that going to get your talk show back? I loved your talk show, by the way. Is that going to get your talk show back on the air on any cable network that will take you? Like, is that going to get you points in the back end of the film? No, because those contracts have already been signed. And who else is going to give up their points to accommodate her? Nobody. Is that going to get you a pilot for a new sitcom? Probably not. Lionsgate doesn't really do TV. So where was going to be the back end of that for her to make the sacrifice to schlep over and all this type of thing? And here's the sad thing is, this isn't even her thing. They had Gabrielle Sidibe, their major star for that film, fly-in coach. Not even premium economy. They had her in the back in main cabin on Delta, and doing her own hair and makeup till Monique said, no, borrow my people. Like, they'll also do your hair and makeup, like at nominally Monique's expense, sort of thing. Like, this is, and there's so many layers to this. It's already hard enough in this entertainment industry, and I've been in the performing arts my whole life, and I've been, full-time creator for many years now. It's already hard enough out here being, Black in entertainment, in society, in America, systemic racism, all this type of thing. But then you pile on that we can't even get treated right by our own. That's a double insult sort of thing. And I just ran into this in my own life because I got hired in an ad agency and then got told that my design was too simple and my personal style was not at the level of a basketball player or a football player. And that caused some question about my ability to do the work. And I resigned. I said, look, I have headshots of me wearing a tuxedo jacket that frankly costs more than your car. I am in that same photo, I'm wearing a tennis bracelet of 24 carats of diamonds. So if that's not basketball player, I can't help you. And also I do the understated elegance thing, but it was just the whole way it was presented. It was just, she was just driving around Houston, basically being like, you don't know how to show out. You don't know how to do this and that. It's kind of like, Well, one, I come from Colorado. I don't come from Houston or Atlanta, so that's not my style. That's not my thing. I've bored you with this long ass story of me complaining to say it hurts worse when it comes from one of us. I'm sorry, it does. I honestly would have rather been told that my design sucks and my personal stuff sucks from a white person than to have someone who had already hired me, already onboarded, basically say, well, we don't know if you can keep up around here. It's like, well, then why did you, if you don't like my style, why on earth did you hire me to be your creative director? Who my job is to style. Like that's like my, which one of us maybe didn't make a smart decision here? And I think that's what I think it hurts worse is, money aside and all this type of thing, it's worse when it comes to one of us. And I think that's the multi-layered thing with Monique is, and all the thing, and that goes with how Queens of Comedy and how she was treated. That goes on with the whole, Precious film, all these types of things. It just simply hurts worse. And the fact that, Tyler Perry basically made it to be like, yeah, I told everyone you were difficult to work with, which for a Black woman in Hollywood is a death sentence. Ask the original Aunt Viv from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, who literally told Will Smith to his face, you said that, and that was my career done, because as a Black woman in Hollywood, you're done with you. Everyone says that about you. Then, I said for that rumor, and, basically cost Monique and her family, rough back of the napkin math, $20 to $25 million.
So if someone wins an Academy Award, that is the launching pad to a whole nother bracket as far as your quotes are concerned.
Yes, although it is interesting. There is an interesting thing with the Academy Award. The Academy Award has a very bad habit of not improving people's careers. There's a lot of people who, if I went back through the people who won Best Actor or Actress for the last 50 years, there's a lot of familiar names. There's a lot of people you never heard from ever again. The kid from Sixth Sense, who does comedy bit roles and all this type of thing. He won an Academy Award, never did another major film ever again. And then you get the Meryl Streeps who pile up the nominations but only win twice. All this, Julianne Moore piles up the nominations, only was won once. All this type of thing. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio made 8 films begging the Academy to give him a damn statue. And he had to get mauled by a bear before they finally said, well, fine, I guess you can have one. So it is a difficult thing, but for someone who'd been in the game that long and who did a film like that started out as this small indie flick and became this whole thing, I guarantee you someone somewhere along the way would have hired her for something, and it just never happened. And we can't help but say that Tyler Perry, Oprah, and Lee Daniels didn't really kind of do that by basically making her unhireable in the industry. And as much as it might seem odd that she's still complaining about it, and it's been more than 10 years, if I had lost $25 million, I would be complaining about that to my grave. Okay, like that's something I would be on my deathbed, choking with fluid in my lungs, being like, "Argue," it's because
you, Tyler
Perry. Like that type of money. I mean, that type of generational, especially in our community, average wealth $2,000 changes. My family, for example, were sharecroppers. They had a bumper crop of onions. We were not fancy. In 1947, that allowed them to do 2 things: buy land and send 9 children to college. If onions can do that for the McGee clan, what does $25 million do for Monique's family? Like, it's this is insane. Yeah, I mean, onions. So
let me introduce the rest of the cast.
Yeah.
Onions are delicious, though, man.
We love onions.
We love onions. So let me introduce the rest of the panel tonight, man, because this is going to be a yummy episode. I can already tell. He is our resident fashion icon. He models all the damn merch for us. He's our globe traveler. He's the Black Indiana Jones. He's always over the traveling around the world, learning things and bringing us great content. So he is the sports master. He's my brother. He is the proprietor of Keeping Up with the Cal Joneses, available on YouTube. I still don't know if that's grammatically correct.
That's right.
Cal Jones Sports Unfiltered, available on YouTube to get the best of sports. He is the one, the only Cal Jones. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. Cam, you got me fired up, man. I had to stop you because I got a lot to say. I'm gonna let Nique introduce herself,
I
but
chased Sean down and said, "When is the show? I want to be on the panel. I have thoughts."
oh yeah, oh, it's gonna be good tonight. I've been writing
Yeah.
it down.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's gonna be fun. And of course, you know who she is. She is the founder of Are You Mad? She is a wonderful individual, a wonderful being. She's also the queen of the Mars Media Empire. You know her, you love her. She's been on the show many times. The one, the only, the illustrious, the mysterious, the international.
Ooh.
Nique New. Nique, how you doing today, sis?
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That was a great intro. I just, just got me.
I'm telling you, it's going on Fiverr.
I
It's
came, yeah, I just came in. I
$5.
came into heat too. I came into Cameron's heat. Let's go. Hey
we,
guys.
we, we've got so much goodness to get into. So before we get into it, I guess we should just kind of start in order with the people that she took shots at. For those who don't know this episode, if you're not able to read the scrolling little ticker at the bottom, this is all about Academy Award winner. I'm going to give her her propers. Academy Award winner, comedian, actor Monique. She went on Club Shay Shay, which apparently is the new spot for just letting it out on people. But she went on that couch, she sipped some of that yak, and boy, she lit into a whole variety of Black Hollywood, bringing people to task, sharing her truth. And that's why we brought this very, very special panel. So, of course, one of these episodes, I always have a few clips so you guys can have some context of what we're talking about. Of course, for copyright, I can't play the whole damn thing, but I am going to give you a little bit. So this right here is her talking, and she said, the breakfast nub. This happened about 10 years ago. This is the first thing out of her mouth. So check out this clip.
People were having call-ins when I said, this is not right. I was donkey of the day. Remember that? Mm-hmm. I was donkey of the day. The breakfast nubs called me the donkey of the day. That's what they said. And they had a whole call-in about how I was donkey of the day. But you didn't do the same thing when you found out we settled.
Okay, so that's just a little taste. And since then, for those who don't listen to the Breakfast Club, Charlemagne the God has come out and apologized. He said he was 100% wrong. He should have minded his business. He should not have put a Black woman down like that. But it's still very, very hot in her mind. So what do you guys think? Is it? It's been about 10 years, right? Is it time to let go and let live?
I mean, 10 years, 10 years, yes, is a long time. Nonetheless, as a woman, man, when you're I'm trying to take it easy and process this and just take it step by step without getting too with removing what I'm sorry and trying to remove myself personally from it, but understanding what it is to be a woman and expressing yourself and to be dismissed and or laughed and or cackled at and then to also be called the donkey of the day when all you're doing is airing out your grievances by a brother. It can be 10 years, it can be 20 years when your cry is not heard, when a cry goes upon a deaf ear and it's actually mocked, that that can go deep. That can dig deep. That can dig deep. And I hear you on Let Go and Let God, which is why, like she said, an apology goes a long way. Folks really disregard how simple, you know what? My bad. Like, I didn't realize that I overstepped the boundary, or I didn't realize that I overlooked or disregarded what you were actually going through at that time. You know what I mean? But I'll just stop right there and I'll let you brothers go ahead and chime in for right now. But yeah, as being the only.
I'm gonna get in here. Nique, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. I already see where this about to go with the women thing. I don't care about the cry. And I'm gonna just tell you this. I get it. Monique messed Monique up. Like she said the way that she acted, things that she did when she went in, she messed herself up. So I got a couple of questions. So since she's been getting, I guess, messed over all these times or whatever these past years, who was the white person she called out? The white director she called out, the white producers in movies or shows that she called out that messed her over. Where are those people at?
But I think that's the problem. It wasn't the white people that messed her over. It was us. It was our own people. Like Tyler Perry admitted, and I should have prepared the clip, but she released the audio. I don't know if you guys heard that. She taped their conversation. Cam, did you hear it?
I did. I went and saw. I would also say, Cal, like she had a good half-hour complaint about how she's gotten screwed over on the syndication for the Parkers, and that's not a black-owned. That's network. That's ABC. That's Disney. That's Bob Iger. Really?
No,
I mean, that's Bob Iger.
No, she called out. She called out a production. Those other people she called out by name. She just called out a company. So I want to know who's the white people that she's calling out and who's Cat Williams calling out. Because if you got, I don't go by the standard of, well, you're black, so you're supposed to treat me right. If we're in negotiations, I make sure I got myself prepped to negotiate myself the best deal. Not that you're black and you're supposed to treat me right. My job is to negotiate a deal that's best for me and my family. That's Tyler Perry's job. That's Oprah's job. If you don't like it, don't do it. Do something else. There's plenty of people that need people to dump trash. There's plenty of people that need people to do landscape. There's other jobs that you can do. You're not obligated to be famous. If you don't like it, don't do it.
I mean, and for all reality, that's with any job. If you don't like it, they'll do it. You know, there's people that complain about working at McDonald's, and we always say, you don't have to put the salt on the fries. You can go work at Burger King. But that is true. We all have the freedom to work where we want to. But is it cool for people to say, oh, I should, not follow my dream because I'm getting mistreated? And in most cases, I agree with you, Kyle. But from hearing her story, hearing Cat Williams' story, I think she has even more validity than Cat Williams, because I have heard both Lee Daniels and Tyler Perry say they blackballed her. And that's different. It's one thing, like if you have an attitude, but when you have, for lack of better words, black balls coming at you, sometimes it can be difficult to dodge. So, play, whatever. But yeah, I mean, those are two powerhouses. Like she said, Kevin Hart is a juggernaut. Tyler Perry is a juggernaut. Oprah is a juggernaut. And I'm sure I'm missing someone else. As far as media,
she even mentioned D.L. Hughley.
D.L. Hughley, I wouldn't say he's a juggernaut, but he's definitely a very popular comedian. That's hard. That's half of Black Hollywood right there. Those are like 2 of the 4 billionaires we have in Hollywood. So it's rough when those powerful people are coming against you. That's just my opinion.
But where's the self-responsibility for what Monique did? I don't know any industry, from what I do for a job, for what you do for a job, Cam, probably you, that you can't have no decorum or whatever, that you have to kind of be a certain way to network yourself to make sure that, okay, well, if you want to get in this position, you can't just go in and just, well, I'm Alvin, I did this, I accomplished this, I'm this, and this, so now give me this. You can't do it anywhere. So oh, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. No, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. You finish.
Oh, but I guess I get it. I don't feel sorry for it. Like, I get what you're saying, Mars, but if anybody else in any other industry came to us and they talked to us and they were complaining, what we gonna tell them? Hey, dude, well, maybe go to school and get your degree. Do this. Did you think about doing this? You think about doing this avenue? It's only with famous people, it's like, well, that's what they want to do, so pursue your dreams. But anybody else that we're regularly talking to, we would tell them to find another way. Or if you don't like it, do something else.
I think the whole thing was that she was kind of getting they were robbing her. you know, like Cameron just said, in terms of, she said she landed the Parkers 90 days into being in Hollywood. Like, she's basically saying, like, that's unheard of. So she and Countess, they hit the ground running. You get what I mean? And the Parkers, with the Parker, I mean, even till this day, it's still one of those shows that everyone, every household, every Black household knows about. It's just one of those comfort shows. Gen Z, they've now gotten the taste of it with, 2020. All of the releases of these old sitcoms have now, like, Girlfriends and so forth and so on. But staying on topic is that she was new in the game. She is, and she's supposed to be the OG. So Countess is underneath her. So they're the actresses coming in. They were basically robbed based on their ignorance, their lack of knowledge on what. I hear you. I know, but we know that this system was never designed for us to be included in. So I see where you're going with this, Cal, but in the same strength. That's why she is crying out to her people. Like, hey guys, this is what's going on. And on top of me not knowing, they're taking advantage of my lack of knowledge. Unfortunately, welcome to America, right? And it's just a number of daggers that have been placed against her, that have been, directed towards her. And then they add on top of it the angry Black woman. Okay, yeah, she's from Be More. Maybe there's some things that, maybe she may be a little rough around the edges in some regards. However, we all grow, we all evolve. Yes. And now look at her now. I mean, she's just as eloquent. You understand? She is very grounded and happy and well-spoken, and she has her support system. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch, especially as a young woman, to see, yes, it is okay to advocate for yourself. So what she is showing a lot of us is closed mouth don't get fed on the boulevard. So,
and to your point, Cal, I think she would admit that she didn't know a lot when she first signed the deals for the Parkers and didn't get a lot of the upfront money that she was doing. I think she'd say, yeah, fair. I didn't know. I think her issue now, and here's where I kind of side with her more, is that show has been off the air for 20 years. And it's been in syndication for years and years and years. And they are not running this woman her checks. And television studio, this isn't the first time this has happened. If you go to the Cameron Journal, I have an article called "That Time CBS Did Not Run Judy Garland Her Checks." And I talk about how CBS screwed over Judy Garland for the Judy Garland show. And CBS, she owed all this back tax money. She convinced CBS to do this weekly show. She could pay it all off. And they screwed her over. And that was in the 60s. I mean, we're talking decades now. Like, television networks have a bad habit of doing this, not just to Black people. Judy Garland, major star, got screwed over by CBS. I mean, this is the thing that they do. And for her, for all that syndication money, and they never run the checks. And now, we have to audit. We have to do this. We have to do that. That's just poor business. I'm sorry, no matter how you slice that cake, that's just poor business. And Lord knows she has the resources now to hire the lawyers and the expert people to go and negotiate. I mean, she'd obviously, and all the extra knowledge, that's still a problem. And and I think the question to ask is, would this happen if she were white? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, Judy Garland got screwed over by CBS, but I mean, the Friends got paid $1 million per person per episode by the end. She was making $50K an episode. I mean, you get into these layers of double standards and nuances and how business is done. And it may not be the reality, but it comes off as if you're a person of color, you're a woman, especially, almost more so than the color thing. Therefore, we value you less and we can screw with you more. And I think that's the point that she is trying to make. And I think being on the very, not at her level, on the periphery of this industry, I can kind of see how that happens in the way sometimes business is done.
Yeah. And it's not even entertainment. You ever notice in corporate, I work in corporate America, Cal, you work in corporate America. You ever notice that they tell you not to tell anybody else what you make? Shouldn't there be some transparency there? Because if you told other people what you make, somebody would say, well, we do the goddamn same job. How am I getting paid 6% on the dollar? That always sat wrong with me. I would always get my first 8 years of the company, I would get like the highest raises possible. Not because I was like the best employee in the world, it's because my manager really liked me. And I remember comparing like my track to a coworker's track who got a review that was less than stellar and didn't get nearly as large a raise, and they had done more stuff than me. But my manager really liked me, so he was like, it exceeds everything, and that's not fair. So I think it creeps more than just Hollywood. This is a issue in corporate America, in America, in business, where people, if they get an opportunity to cheat you, they will. And yes, you can't be ignorant and sign a Diddy deal. You don't want to do that. But at the same time, we should still have some level of decorum where we're doing basic good business. And I think her only recourse is now is to come to public, because that's how Dave Chappelle got his money. You remember he was saying, don't watch Chappelle show on HBO. They haven't paid me my money. And all of the bad press, Warner Brothers ran him his money. So I'm with Nique. I'm with Cam on this one, Kyle.
Oh no, I mean, I don't mind being an outcast. I get it, but I just don't agree. I feel like my job is to get the best deal that I can get for myself. I love you to death, and right now, and like you said, you're doing a great job with these podcasts. If a deal were to come, and you're like, all right, Cal, I want to start paying you or whatever to do the podcast. Even with you being my boy, I'm still gonna do my research. I'm still gonna do my homework. I'm still gonna see like what the average person gets paid. I'm not just gonna sign something because I want to be famous. I'm in a situation. I need to get out the hood. I need to do something. You get 10 years in, and then you're like, well, this person's making this, and I'm making this. Well, who's your lawyer? Who negotiated that contract? You signed that. Nobody made you sign that. I get it. I just don't feel no sympathy for the people. I'm seeing a lot of people come out now that are victims. Everything was good when everything was going on, and then they're victims. I got a question. If Monique got all that, so if Monique got her money from Tyler Perry and all them, she still be calling them out? Because they wouldn't be different people. They'll still be the same people that are screwing people over, but Monique got her money. Are you still going to be calling those gatekeepers out, or would you be one of the gatekeepers?
Well, she mentioned that with Lee Daniels. Once he made amends, she had no problem with him. She said he made it right, and that's all she's asking for, is to make it right, at least acknowledge it. Cam talked about that earlier, that it's been radio silence. Oprah is big enough, especially after what's gone on with Taraji. We're seeing the trend here, Oprah. And I've never trusted Oprah, by the way. I'm just gonna say, doesn't sit right. That's neither here nor there. But see,
we're not doing Oprah. We ain't doing.
Don't do that to listen.
Oprah done did too much for the. We're not doing Oprah like Oprah done did too much for the community.
Oprah done did too much.
She done did too much for the community. I ain't doing
all hell Queen Oprah.
We ain't doing Oprah like that.
Well, the whole thing is that we don't want to do Oprah like that. What's happened is that we found out Oprah doing other people like this.
Come on, let's be realistic though, because she compared herself to Melissa McCartney and all this stuff.
Wait, who's Melissa McCartney again? Because when she said it, McCarthy. Yes, Jim Carrey. Yeah. Whoa,
you guys are saying like Paul McCartney.
Yeah. But I want to know,
chopping her name up. Forgive.
What's the Monique movie that everybody wanted to go out and see?
Precious.
Because Monique was in it.
Precious.
And what's the other one?
The Parker. Oh, what other movie was she in? No,
that's when she got.
Precious.
That's when she
got blackballed after Precious.
Yeah, so there weren't no other movies.
She didn't even get a chance. But her career was basically like skyrocketing though.
What's the Taraji Henson movie that everybody was like, I gotta see that Taraji Henson?
Oh, there was that.
First of all, what we're not gonna do.
She was in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was about Christmas or something. I remember the plot, don't remember the name of it. I remember the plot because she was married to this guy who was cheating on her and all this sort of thing. She was brilliant in it. I mean, yes, all these many years later, is there a huge demand for a Monique movie? No, but you can't tell me in 2011, 2012, in the post-Precious years, that there wouldn't have been a script or a project that would have been true for her. I think the possibility was there, and then it wasn't. I mean, now here in the year of our Lord 2024, you're absolutely right. That demand is not there the way it once was. Have this conversation 10 years ago, that would have been a harder argument to make.
I don't know, Cam. I don't think. All right, this is what it boils down to. Nobody's saying this.
What?
If we want black actors and black actresses to make more money on movies, then black people need to go out in droves and support it. They need to be 300, 400, 500 million dollar box office movies. They're not.
But we do.
You're right.
When it's and I wrote a whole paper on this, the Black Panther effect. That's why I think they didn't replace Chadwick, because they said, holy shit, we have I saw black people that have never been outside of Hampton Roads in full African regalia.
Dashiki.
I'm like, bro, you're from Hampton, and they had a whole accent by the time the movie was over. If it's something that we truly represent us, we show up, and we show up with our dollars. And when Chadwick passed, I think Disney said this is an opportunity to get this franchise under control, because William Hurt died and they replaced him with Harrison Ford, no problem, but they had to kill T'Challa. That's a whole nother story. So we show up when we support. And then, I mean, look at Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is $1 billion because his movies are so profitable. And I've never seen one Tyler Perry movie.
What's the highest grossing Tyler Perry movie? I want to Google it.
It's not about gross, it's about profit.
And the plays? I remember the
30 million.
But look how much he leaves. He does everything. He write it. He produced. Like, he leaves so many people out. That was a big complaint too. He don't hire new writers. He does it all. So you're going to have a bigger profit when you ain't paying nobody. You doing the whole thing. You probably the cameraman too. He acting in it. He the woman. He the man. He the grandma.
He's having love scenes with himself.
No. I mean, that's. No, I mean, this is I mean, yeah, I mean, this is all a part of the problem and the issue. I mean, personally speaking, I know a lot of people when Black Panther came along, we all kind of had like the Black community kind of like, all right, we all have to go so they'll make more. Like, we all better go. We all have to go.
Yes,
I know. We're all going.
Thank you.
If we don't, they're not going to make any more. I am not a big fan. I trundled into the movie theater and paid my money. Also think because like we all have to go, otherwise they'll never do it again. This can't be a flop. Like
solidarity.
Yes,
solidarity.
Yes. And
solidarity.
And we came through. It worked. But yeah, it's a difficult. I think it's a difficult thing to be an industry within an industry in the same way that we're a civilization within a civilization. It is difficult to be an industry within an industry and find ways to survive when you're competing against in two directions. You're competing against the mainstream, white stuff, and you're also competing with stuff within, your own community sort of thing, because everyone's trying to get to that next place, that next thing, and there's not, unfortunately, necessarily spots for everybody on that bus sort of thing, even if we all scrunch into the back. And I think that, you can sometimes get crabs in a bucket situation. And I feel like that's kind of what makes these discussions even more difficult, is it starts to come off as crabs in a bucket. And that's, in terms of power and control and keeping people down and this type of thing, there's a long history of that goes back to the peculiar institution. And I think if you don't know it consciously in your mind, your bones know it, your muscles know it, it feels the same. And I think that's where some of the outrage comes from, is it's an all too familiar story that somehow is still going on in 2024. But I mean, I'll say this. I appreciate your perspective, and it makes for a good show. So we've accomplished something.
I got some questions for y'all, because I'm interested in this. So we got all this sympathy for Taraji and Monique. I'm interested to see what Taraji next movie do. I want to see how many black people go out. Even when Taraji was crying about Color Purple, they still didn't show up in droves to just support the movie to make sure that it made a lot.
I think what happened with that, it seems like there was somewhat of a backlash based on her outcry, and then we also started to look at what was occurring behind the scenes. I know myself as a consumer who in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, Color Purple, you know, it's coming out. I want to see it. But then when all of the controversy came out, I'm not gonna lie, it did turn me off a little bit. And I wasn't as excited to go for whatever, only because of all of the drama that was occurring. It's like, well, what's going on? Like, are they just it just seemed it just didn't sit well with me to actually go out and watch it. But Taraji did bring this to our attention, in which, you know, we are still in Black Future Month, so we still have time to to go out and check the Color Purple. They said, what is
It's
like
also
the 7th
the musical.
edition?
It's a movie version of the Broadway show, which those honestly, I don't care what color who's producing it.
Hello?
Those rarely work. I'm sorry. I love Hairspray. I've been in a production of Hairspray. It doesn't work on film. It barely works on television. It's best seen live in a theater. Like, don't do a movie. Do a national tour. Like, a national tour of theaters, all this type of thing. Like, do a Hamilton. Do a national tour of theater. And I think that show actually does tour. It's like, I don't, you know, was that film ever going to be a pop? I mean, your point, Cal's well taken. Did we show up? Probably. I don't think so. The sales numbers, I'm sure they're not that good. But like, that movie was never going to do well anyway. To be honest with you.
Yeah, they got to read the room. They have to gauge the time that we're in, the audience.
You're absolutely right. We did not show up to support Color Purple. Number one, I feel like some things don't need a remake. Like, if you nail it the first time, like if they did a new Jaws, I would be like, this is stupid. Why are we doing this? Steven got it the first time. But this is just not Black Hollywood. Disney is hemorrhaging money. They had to bring their old CEO back to pretty much say, stop making this bullshit, because they were just they got to a point where they thought they can just print money, specifically with Marvel, which, you know, I'm an expert. And you see a movie led by Academy Award winning Brie Larson that made $1 billion the first go round be the lowest grossing Marvel movie the second go round, because after the pandemic, Hollywood has changed. And not a lot. We are so spoiled by streaming, getting things instantly. Most of the movie stars now have deals with Netflix or Amazon, and they have just as many movies and shows on streaming networks than they are on the silver screen. So, I mean, that's a whole nother episode. But the silver screen is a dying art form. I don't really want to sit in a theater with 40 coughing kids watching a Marvel movie when I can watch it at the comfort of my home on an 80-inch TV, unless it's something that's just groundbreaking, like an Avengers movie. I didn't even see the second Avatar in theaters because I was like, I don't care. So I think that's a whole nother story on how the Hollywood star today. I think Tom Cruise is the last of a dying breed. Isn't that it's done. It's going to be more about just getting.
Oh yeah, movie stars are on their way out. Big arena artists. I just wrote an article called "Enjoy the Summer Tours of Taylor Swift, Adele, and Beyonce," because we'll never see arena stars like that ever again. Because how bifurcated the music industry is. Like all of that is on its way, kind of on its way out, and it's going to be very different from now on. I will say though, to the point of how this business is now and all this type of thing, one of the things that I think, and to your point, Cal, I think one of the big mistakes Monique made was the Netflix boycott. And that she didn't talk about that a whole lot in the interview, but I'm on your side. Scoot over on the bench a little bit. I'm on your side.
I forgot that.
If I were her, I would have taken their money. I would have made them 10 times as much, and I would have used that as my springboard into a bunch of other things. That was dumb, because the reality now in the streaming marketplace, she could have cleaned up stand-up comedy does great in streaming. It's cheap to make, which is perfect for streaming. There's lots of upside potential for other projects and things. If she could have gotten in there, she could be ruling that roost like a hen at the chicken yard. And instead, she blew it with a silly boycott. I mean, over a nominal amount of money. I'm not saying a small amount of money, but a nominal amount of money. When take your $1.5 million payday, go do a great sort of thing, make Netflix a whole bunch of money, because you will, and then come back to them and say, all right, I've made you a nice chunk of cash now. It's time for a new sitcom. It's time for something bingeable. All this type of thing. And that would have been, I would have taken and said, yeah, this is my chance to get back on top. And then you can waltz up next to the Oprahs and the Lee Daniels and the Tyler Perrys and been like, that's nice, you've got the past handled, but I'm over here in the future, in the streaming world, and it's great over here. We're doing well. And she could be in a really great position right now if she hadn't kind of turned off, because of course with after that, none of the other streamers are going to touch it. Of course, right. Sort of thing. That was a mistake. That I'm with you. Now that was dumb. That was dumb.
We can all agree on that, especially when she goes on air. When your average, I think they said a new report that the average African American household or net value is like $2,500 or something like that. So complaining about $1.5 million for one job, telling me to boycott when I'm trying to look at Stranger Things. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, no, I mean,
that was a little rough. I forgot. I totally forgot about that Netflix when she did tell us to ban Netflix, and that was a good point right there.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, we weren't letting Netflix go. That's sad. They had such a strong hold. They still do almost. Well, in comparison to others.
I bet we see this in a lot of industries. I get what Mars was saying about like the pandemic and the movies, but we weren't showing up before that. We see it with fashion. I can bring up LeVar Ball. He said he wanted to bring out his own shoe line. What black people do? We laughed at him.
Well,
that's not Nike.
Hell,
they were, but no. Before the shoes
still isn't. He hasn't played in 2 years.
No,
those shoes messed up his feet.
Before those shoes came out, we were already laughing at him. Why are you doing that? That's stupid.
Ugly.
Before we seen them, when he said he was going to bring some shoes out,
they look like dress shoes with two golden beads. I don't know who designed them. They look like the shoes that Mickey Mouse has on the cartoon with two gold beads.
But look at what you said. But Nike don't got ugly shoes.
And Adidas don't got ugly shoes. I mean, Yeezys are ugly, and you got 60 pairs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's what my whole point. Other companies have ugly shoes, but we pick the good shoes out. We give them a chance, and we buy those. Other restaurants have screwed us over. McDonald's do us wrong all the time. Go to a black restaurant, they don't do good the first time. I'm done with that restaurant. We give everybody else a chance. We go right back to Pizza Hut. We go right back to Domino's when they mess our order. We just program to me personally, the white corporations, the big corporations, you're just programmed to do that. Black people, you got one chance to impress me. And if you don't, I'm done spending money at your business.
We're not going to stand the Pizza Hut. But let's play this next clip.
When I saw Taraji broken on those platforms, it was painful to watch. However, Taraji and I had a conversation over a decade ago.
Yes.
In my trailer when I was doing the Monique show. And she said, you got to keep on getting it until your turn comes. And I said, Taraji, most of us die before our turn comes. We got to ask for it right now. Now, I understand that because there was a time I felt the same way.
Exactly.
Because that's what I was.
That really touches on what we've just been talking about. And I think it sounds like she had your point of view for a while, Kyle, that, I'll just put in the work, and then I'll be rewarded at the end. But they always find a way to put you back at the bottom of the scale. And it's usually because they're saying black actors don't translate overseas on the international market. Black actors don't translate in America. They're only 11% of the population or something. Out of that. So that's the reason they give us, even if the resume is the same. So I feel she has something there. I feel she has something there. Go ahead.
Am I frozen?
You are frozen. I thought you was just like.
Well, you froze in the perfect frame because you look very thoughtful and very considerate.
Right.
I was like,
So you've frozen on the right
frame. What I was saying.
I think I may keep that. I'm gonna just let y'all hear me. I don't agree with that. I guess. I don't even got nothing to say to that. Y'all know all my thoughts. I don't agree with that. I think it's her. I do get this thing. I do get the standards do change sometimes. Like the metrics always change. They say, "Well, do good at this, you do good at that," and then they find something else. You do good at that thing, and then they find something else. But I don't know when are we going to start like just paving our own way. Like I seen Jay-Z crying the other day. They my wife ain't won no Grammys or whatever. You're billionaires. Make your own award show. You don't think that all the artists and everybody you don't think everybody performing their show? Like we had the BET Awards. Why not just make the BET Awards more significant than the Grammy Awards and have everybody want to come over there? We're always like bagging and being stuff where they don't want us at. If you don't want me there, I just create my own way and we make style hot anyway. We make the culture. We'll just make something else hot. Y'all all come over there.
Houseway. I'm sorry, I just had to get that off.
No, when it comes to, I mean, Jay-Z's words fell on deaf ears because I am a card-carrying member of the Lamely. I stand Mariah Carey long time, and I quote her when I talk about the Grammys when she says, and I quote, "I'm ready to have some more when they're ready to give them to me," because she has gotten so screwed over by them so many times. It's kind of like, and how, I mean, for a woman of that talent to not have all of the metal, is a bit, so it's kind of like, okay, so Beyonce didn't win Album of the Year that one time. Like, oh, okay, that's great to say during your Lifetime Achievement Award. Like, okay, that's fine. But there's lots of people who suspiciously the Grammys ends up passing over for reasons and other things and this sort of thing, and it just doesn't doesn't make sense. Like I said, over in Mariah Carey land, we quit paying attention to those folks a long time ago because she can do another #1 hit single, she can have the only #1 Christmas song, and have a diamond album in 3 decades, and the Grammys are kind of like, who? We don't know her. Like, it's like so I gave up on those folks a long time ago.
Why do we care? Right. Why do we care?
No, I
mean, yeah, I definitely agree. Like, yeah, it would be nice if the NAACP Image Awards and the BET Awards and that stuff were as good as the Grammys and the Oscars and all that type of thing. Yeah, that would be great. That's not the media ecosystem we live in at the moment. Maybe that will be true one day. But, and I think it's also something where we have to prioritize, what are we going to prioritize culturally? What is going to move the conversation forward for us? And I do kind of agree with you. And I run this in my own self in the book publishing industry, which is a very, very wide industry. It is very hard to keep knocking at the door in spaces where your presence is neither desired nor required. And as an industry that is run a lot by white women who have a lot of very interesting opinions about books and literature and things, especially when my next fiction book is a Southern epic set in 1850, and I had a professor in college literally ask me why I was using certain very popular abolitionist terms, and I had to be kind of like, okay, so I understand you're Cuban from South Florida, let's go to school, like in a very polite, professional manner of, per my last email, like, I mean, I get what it's like to try to make it in those places and spaces that I spent my life there, and I agree with you. Would I love it for us to have a Black Book Awards of some description? Yes, I probably should go try to find that somewhere. And it's a bit all my material. And all this, yeah, it would be good, but unfortunately, we're stuck in the situation where we have a little bit of power, but not quite enough. And so we're stuck in this liminal space.
And I see where Cal is
has
going.
that. And there's more brown people in basketball and football than a cotton plantation in Louisiana. Like, and we don't even have that power in sports. In industry, we basically own. We don't have that type of power. And entertainment is way worse. Like,
I was just about to say, you literally took the words out of my mouth. I'm like, we had a Negro League in baseball. It was a thing. Satchel Paige played there. But ultimately, you want to go where you can make money. You want to go where you can have fame. You can play with and compete with the best in the world. And that's one thing I love about the NBA. The last 5 MVPs have been from other countries. We haven't even been dominant in our own sport that we created. But that's the beauty of sports. It's a great equalizer. It's really the only, metric-based system that's somewhat fair, where if you're dunking like LeBron James, you're going to make the most money. It's just how it is. Entertainment is very subjective, and there's way more gatekeepers that can keep plenty of talented people of color out. And then as a person of color, there's only so many roles. Like, I could never be Batman. They're never going to cast me as Bruce Wayne. I could be the best they're never going to cast Denzel as Bruce Wayne. It's just certain roles that we're not going to get because
someone thought James Bond should be played by Idris Elba, and I think half of Britain had a coronary. Like, I mean, that one statement did more to destroy the British Empire than anything else. Just the idea that it's like, oh my God, a dark black man's going to be James Bond. Like, that's yeah. I mean, and this is where this is in entertainment where you have all of these sorts of issues where and then you get the cultural backlash of, well, why does Little Mermaid have to be black now? Why does I had a buddy of mine, his dad is a very famous Hollywood screenwriter. I've had him on the show. His name's Duke Sandifer. And he worked for CBS for years and years and all this type of thing. And I've had more than one email argument with him, to the point we didn't talk for a year and a half, with him being like, oh, I don't understand why everything has to be so black now and all this type of thing. I said, it's not that everything is black now, it's that you finally noticed it. We've been around for a while. Like, we've been here for a hot minute and been on TV for a long, long time. I mean, not to bring up a problematic person, but let's face it, Bill Cosby, one of the most famous names on television. So sad the legacy did not work out. But like, that was the whole thing. And the Jeffersons before him, and Good Times before him, and all the people that came after, and all the, all those wonderful that have come and gone in our living rooms for all of these years. It's just that you finally notice, and now we're having this cultural backlash, this cultural moment about it, because quote unquote beloved characters are being played by different people or in a different way. That's what I think makes the entertainment industry with this stuff so difficult, makes it more sensitive in a way that it isn't necessarily so true over in sports, or isn't so true in other areas. I mean, back in my home realm of politics, it took people a year and a half to realize they had accidentally elected the first black woman vice president, and people in the Democratic Party weren't happy about it. Like, and Joe Biden's popularity ratings are in the basement, and hers are somehow lower. If that should give you a clue how America is enjoying its first outing, having a black president for 8 years and then a black female president for 3.5 years, America feels about that. It's not going well. And then this happens over and over again, I mean, it's really, it's tough. And look at what Republicans did to the Obama presidency, and look at what has happened to Kamala Harris. Her political career is over after this. She will never serve in public office ever again. And that's a tragedy, but that's the reality. She's going to be giving speeches $100,000 at Goldman Sachs. That's her next career move if Biden doesn't win in 2024 or when they're out of office in 2029. Like, that's her, because that's it. And unfortunately, I mean, honestly, now, if he's still on the air, Kamala Harris, Club Shay Shay 2029, I'm there. But like, this is unfortunately what happens in these industries all the time because of how this system in our country is. And it makes it difficult, and especially as someone who works in this stuff and who does this stuff, I sometimes wonder, is America in the mood for the chubby brown kid with a book to write? I don't know. Because there's a lot of us that run up that hill and don't make it. I don't know.
All right.
You know it's go ahead, Nick.
What's the other chick name? Is it Viola Davis?
What about Viola? What about?
I ain't got no beef for her. Great actress. Like, great actress. Sean, you watch Marvel movies, right?
All the time.
What's the movie you boycotted because of her salary?
A movie that
you said that you're not gonna watch it because of her salary sucks, so you're not gonna go watch it.
She's not in any Marvel movies. That's
yes, she is. Was she in? Or was it a DC comic movie? Ain't she one of those movies?
She's in DC Comics. She plays Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad and Peacemaker and those series. And she has her own show coming out on HBO Max in the next year and a half. Written by James Gunn.
You gonna boycott that movie if her salary sucks?
Look at you. I can't.
No, James Gunn's doing it. He's a fantastic writer and director.
He's trying to make a point. The point that Cal is trying to make.
All right, nobody better go find out how much Angela Bassett got paid in the last Black Panther movie. We don't want to know because it might not have been enough.
Wow.
We go into sports, right? Could we go say we probably agree that Colin got did wrong? Or is it black people boycotting football? Like, all this stuff can get changed if we actually just talk with our dollar. You see all these companies that go woke, you see the reason why they had to change up? See why Disney had to change up? Because a lot of conservative people said, we're not spending our dollar with you. If you're going to be woke, we're not spending with you. We don't do that. We don't.
They say.
Exactly. And a lot of companies had to change. ESPN they're steady changing back now. CNN, like all these companies that went woke for a while, they start spending their money. We don't do that. We don't move as a group. Hey, if you don't pay Taraji Henson this, we're not coming out to see that movie with that white star. I don't care if Tom Cruise in it. I don't care who's in it. Like, we can make them change this stuff, but it's not going to change until we do something with our dollar.
All right.
We do need to speak for dollars. That's undisputed. I think the whole panel can agree with that.
Yes.
But when you're looking at art, I think a lot of it, I am in the realm of race swapping just a race swap makes no sense to me. When there are incredible characters of color that just don't make Superman black.
I agree with that.
Don't make Superman black. I don't need to see a black Superman when there's already a still out there. There's already black characters out there. And I think that's where you would get a lot of virtual. Now, when they were saying, oh, we shouldn't have a black Little Mermaid, and people were scientifically saying, there's no sun in the bottom of the ocean, so how would they get melanin? Now you're getting I'm like, all right, she also has a talking crab. It doesn't matter. But
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But the core characters, I don't want to see a black Superman. I don't want to see a black Batman. James Bond, I could go for a black James Bond because that's a code name. He's really not James Bond. I can justify that, but don't just make someone black or someone female just to make them. Make the story good first is where I lie.
I can get with that. I was working on a book, and the trans thing had really started to happen, and I said, I've tried to shoehorn a trans character into this book. It just doesn't work. It doesn't fit the setting. It's an alt-earth fantasy sort of thing. That's not really a thing sort of thing. And a dear friend of mine, he said, Cameron, he's like, you're a brilliant writer. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Don't try to make it fit to please some sort of social agenda. And so I gave up on that whole thing. I had lots of other, edgy things in terms of queerness and all this type of thing that were fine and work really great and all this type of thing. And so I gave up on all of that. And I keep my eye out in projects for opportunities to make that happen. I think Chloe Bailey could have gotten hired for The Little Mermaid just for the vocals. Okay.
Right.
It's like this woman was hired for the pipes, sort of thing. But it's also sometimes sometimes flights of fancy can be fun. Like there's a TikToker that was doing a review of the 1987 Roger and Hammerstein Cinderella movie. We have a black queen, a white king, an Asian prince. The fairy godmother is Whitney Houston. Like, I mean, that's just all over the board. But it's a musical, and so it works because it's a film adaptation of a musical where in the theater you could have had anybody playing those roles and it would have, kind of been fine, sort of thing. And they kind of brought that aspect of theater to the television, and it's kind of this beloved cult classic of remember that time when they did that sort of thing. And it's really cool. It's kind of fun. I think there's more opportunities for that out there, but I do agree when it comes to the economics of it. If we really want to make our voice heard, African Americans represent $1 trillion in spending power. That is 1/32 of American GDP. If we really want to cause a ruckus in this country, we will collectively close our collective wallets on this stuff, and things around here could change real fast.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. And that's something where the sad, unfortunate reality is, as many times as we have these conversations and as many times as we might complain about these things, until that collective wallet shuts or opens in another direction that causes those in power to particularly notice that it has opened in that direction, it's going to be hard to move these systems of power and bend them to our idea of things. Not that it's, it is possible, in localized ways, but it takes a concerted effort to make that happen. It does. It takes a concerted effort to make that happen, and it takes all the money and the power and things that go along with that to make that occur. So I get you on that, but I think it's still, I don't know. I still feel like too many people getting done dirty, and it's sad. Regardless of the circumstances, it's still sad to see it.
Exactly. And I think that's why we're here today, is because we're seeing it, and it's always being highlighted. And I think after a while, we're going to be sick and tired of being sick and tired, and start actually putting our money where our mouth is. Is that the expression? Yes.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead, Nique. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, that's basically it. I see the direction that you're coming from, Kyle. You're like, okay, we're talking, but are you still going to stop watching the movies because of their salary? Like, I get the point that you're making, but I think after a while, enough, you start to hear that nagging, mosquito on the side. After a while, it's going to, after a while, you're just going to slap that, you're just going to get it out your way, right? You're going to kill the gnat or whatnot, or the buzz. So after a while, I think we are starting to slowly really understand. And now that we're getting more of a inner look as to what is going on from Cat Williams' perspective, from Monique now speaking up a little bit, we're getting a little bit more insight as to what's going on. So a lot of the Hollywood stars that we've admired, we're starting to realize that their character, their handshake, so to speak, does not actually match their smile. Shout out to Beanie Siegel. The point is that after a while, we're starting to wake up, right? So I understand why there's this warfare between woke and not being woke, because it's basically the truth, right? Those who are speaking the truth versus those who want to, shut down the truth, or try to, avoid it and or escape it by any means necessary. So it's very good that we continue to have these conversations. It's very good that we continue to discuss these matters. It's very good that we have your perspective as well, Cal. Like, look here, she was, she was that desperate, so to speak. I wouldn't call it desperate. She said she did admit, Monique did admit to being naive. We all can agree that there is a point. We all have a learning point. This was her learning point in life. It's like, okay, you want to be famous? How bad do you want it, right? We heard it with Cassie. How bad do you want it? So now the truth is now coming out. The fame, right? Everything that glitters is not gold. It's still, those old sayings still apply to this day. Everything that the old folks said it's all turning up to be true. So it's going back to our basic morals and principles. Exactly how are they being applied, and also where we're sowing our seeds as consumers. Where are we putting our money? the beautiful thing about where we are right now in this day and age is that we actually have the power to purchase ethically, right? In matters that actually, align with our core values. So it's very interesting to see how this new dynamic, in terms of it, like, if we come back like a few years from now to see how the trends, what is still being highlighted, what are they pushing more for? This is just the start, I believe, in terms of this is the start of a really powerful study that we'll definitely be looking at for some time. But anyway, that was my take.
I think it's also important to remember it wasn't that long ago we were grateful to have anything on a TV network. We were grateful to have anything in a movie theater. And I think, to your point, Nique, we have to move past the begging to and that's a big leap. And I'm going through that in my own personal life right now of own the space you command. Like, you've been doing this for a while, and I've been playing the big please pick me, please do this, all this type of thing, and I'm having to move to a new space of no, I'm established, I'm a thing. I don't have to beg just for the door to crack open. I think as a culture, especially in the entertainment industry, sports has already kind of done this, and we can follow their lead. We have to quit merely begging to get in the door and own the space and command the space that we own. And that is a mindset change. And I think it's going to start with the younger generation coming up who don't tolerate a lot of the stuff that us older folks have been putting up with. And that's even in corporate America. Gen Z has no chill when it comes to work. And honestly, as a millennial, I love to see it. Like, it's great. Right. But in the entertainment industry, it's kind of like you know what? We have been showing up for decades and saving your films, saving your movies, saving your TV networks, all this type of thing, putting in the work, the hours for less, all this type of thing. Now you're going to pay us and respect us, or we're going to go elsewhere and we're done. And the great thing about this modern age is we can be on Twitch, we can be on YouTube, we can be on Odyssey, we can be on Daily Motion, and make the money and own the audience and not have to be beholden to a bunch of empty suits in New York or Los Angeles. And until we get to that mindset point of being willing to take our cultural ball and go home, I don't think we're going to get there. And I think one of the great things is, in sports, they're already there. Basketball players get paid. Football players get paid. They already figured out what time it was over there at the NFL and the NBA. And I think down at the Hollywood and the New York Film School of Television and all these places, we need to follow that lead and say, we know what time it is now, and we understand what we bring to the table. And now it's time for wallets to open. And that's a big mindset shift. That's a big mindset shift. And I think that's what Monique got caught up into. And she said this, she was so busy wanting to be famous, she forgot to also be rich while she was doing it and forgot to manifest the money to go with the fame. That was at like an hour. That was like 2 hours, 12 minutes. It was towards the end. Don't know if it all made it that long. But, there's fame and there's the money. And those are two separate. You can be very famous and dead broke.
Yeah.
And so I think now we have to come to ourselves and say, the fame monster is not worth the not getting paid, and shift that mindset.
Yes.
And that's what will really start to make things turn around here.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I'll also say the reason why sports is caught up. There's 400 players in the NBA, maybe 1,000 in the NFL. There's 1 million actors. There's 1 million singers. There's 1 million, and with things such as AI and songwriters and auto-tune, you could really gatekeep a lot. No one could gatekeep LeBron James, because no matter what you do, when you see this 6'9" man that looks like Delroy Lindo jumping from the throw line, you're going to say, I want him on my team because he's going to help me win, which in turn helps me make billions of dollars. But if Brad Pitt doesn't, if Chris Evans doesn't want to do a role, there's 6 other Chris actors that will line up and fill the role, even at their level. So when you're talking, a role for Monique, how many roles in Hollywood are really going to be written for her? She's not going to be the love interest. She's not going to be the action star. She's not going to be many things besides Precious's mom. So we also have to look at it and say, okay, how can we increase our value to separate ourselves, to make us the LeBron James.
And that's why the Netflix boycott was dumb. She could have been running, streaming like a pimp runs his hose. And that was the move she made that was wrong, because she could have owned streaming and been the first to it, rather than being a now and also ran that no one wants to touch because it's toxic. That's why that was oh, of course, absolutely. And I get her, she was in her feelings about all this type of thing. I totally get it, but I'm saying strategically, as a tactic, but strategically, I've been like, yeah, that's the future. Yeah, and when I say we go into our own spaces and we own the space we command, that's how you do it. To be kind of like, all right, Hollywood, if you don't like me in my Academy Award, fine. Off to the streaming platform service I know that you all were ignoring. And then that was a space she could command and own, because Netflix was having trouble getting people of that star power at the time. Meryl Streep wasn't doing Netflix back then. Julianne Moore wasn't doing HBO Max back then. She could have been a big fish in a small pond and commanded her own space. That's the type of moves we have to start making. That's how you shift these narratives. And that's how you have to say, yeah, if you don't like us here, we're going to go over here. And then you can pay attention to us and watch us as we walk away with the money you could have made with us. If you had, been paying attention. Smartest thing Oprah never did. She never took a salary from her show. She owned the company. That's why she's a billionaire. Smartest thing Wendy Williams ever did. Didn't take a salary from the show. She owned the production company that ran the Wendy Williams show, which is why she's very wealthy. Now, Wells Fargo has screwed her with her money, but there's a lot of it if they ever let her back at it. And so, those are the type of things where it was something where if she wanted to go back on television, because she wasn't tied to a network, she could call Debmar Mercury and bring the show back because she owns it. And for me in business, the best thing I ever did in 2018 is this: I'm going to do something very brave. I'm going to start my own thing, Widgery Omni Media, and I'm going to own every single thing that I do. I have been much more successful owning every single aspect of my own company, and I'm just me, Cameron, friendly man about Wilmington and the Delmarva Peninsula. But I've been more successful owning it myself than I have in the two previous publications I had that were owned by other people, and both of whom I got screwed over on. So even at my small level, just me, Cameron, friendly man about Delaware, that's the difference. Why is Mariah Carey worth $500 million? She owns her own publishing. That's what Eminem figured out. You have to own the publishing in order to get the money. This is the stuff where a lot of this has fallen through the cracks for people. And I think the great thing about this is now that all is finally coming out and people are copping wise to the game and they're figuring out the business, and that is going to change things a lot. And I think even though there are a million actors and a million singers and all this sort of thing, going in different places and spaces, going and seeking other opportunities, doing your own thing, carving your own way online, if that's how you choose to go, all this type of thing is I think a wave of the future. Never have we had such opportunity. It's like Black in the 50s when they had Black-owned radio stations that only played Black music because white stations wouldn't. Same thing. The smart thing I ever did was self-publish my own books. Now, I did get a publishing contract later on. I did get a joint publishing later on, but I was brave enough to say, yeah, I'm going to sell it on my own. I'm going to figure out how to do it. And the bright side is I own all of those things, and I'll pass them on to air, all this type of thing. This is how it shifts and changes. And that's why she screwed up the Netflix thing.
Yeah, no, we're not going to let you off the hook on that one, Monique. So check out this, guys.
Should a man open up to a woman? Shaq said no. He says because if you do, they're gonna use it against you. He said because if I'm crying about something, they're gonna say the first time they get mad, they're gonna say, see, you crying because your daddy said what he said.
How do you take advice from a man who has no woman? And I love Shaq. But how do you take advice from my brother that has no one?
Okay.
If you have that person in your life and you say, listen, I'm going through. Who else do you talk to at nighttime in your pillow talk? Who else do you share your life with? Who are you sharing with your life with, Shaq? Do you tell another man about your situation? And does he make you feel better? Like, who do you share?
You took a shot at Shaq.
It was a shade, yeah.
Shady. That's why you're not successful, Monique. You're shady as shit.
Don't do that. No, she's just speaking her truth.
I'm not going to touch long on that one, but it was a very interesting element, and we keep seeing this coming again. You know, Taraji P. Henson says something about her husband. Her husband is her manager. I'm always eerie on these parent-manager relationship, spouse-manager relationship. Feel that's a conflict of interest. But, you know, what did you think about what she was saying there?
As far as Shaq specifically,
No,
in terms of, or the pairing of her husband.
View on what Shaq said.
I mean, she has her reason for that. It kind of makes sense in a way, though. It kind of makes sense in a way. I kind of follow where she's going, because if he's not in a position with a woman, then why are you giving people advice about women?
Because I'm Shaquille O'Neal and I'm Papa John's. I don't.
I mean, I think here's the problem. I think every dude has been in that relationship where you really open up, you really get vulnerable, and you talk about your hopes, your dreams, your fears, your problems, whatever have you, and it gets thrown back in your face. And me and my girlfriend have this argument all the time, because she's always like, I want to say more all the time. I said, you have enough ammunition for now. We'll revisit your ammo pile later. Like, that's, you know, you have enough ammunition for now. I'm not going to heap any more coals on your head just at the present moment. And she gets kind of offended, be kind of like, I've seen it. I've been in that relationship. I've seen it happen in that relationship. When things start falling apart, her and I had broken up previously. It was not fun. It was not messy. I'm sorry. It was not fun. It was very messy. Let me get that right. It was not fun. Very messy. And I said, yeah. And you called all your friends and family and told them all of my business. I watched you do it. Like, so it's a kind of like, even though we're in a better place now, we're all in a better mental health place. We're more medicated. We're better people. All this type of thing. It's like, I've seen this happen, just us, babe. Like, we already played this story. So it's like, it can be really hard to go there and be that open when the openness you have today could be the bomb you have to deal with tomorrow.
Oh.
And so in that way, I kind of take the side of like, yeah, even in an intimate relationship, as a guy, you have to be circumspect and careful about what you say and what you do, because it can come back. Ask anyone who's been divorced, been through a bad breakup. Everything suddenly becomes fodder. It's not a lot of fun. And a lot of my therapists got a lot of good checks out of me. Because of that, there are some therapists that got paid. Fortunately, I had a black therapist. The money stayed in the community, but it was good. You know, but it was still several months of sessions with him to work through a lot of that stuff. So yeah, I'm with Shaq. Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. And that's not a read. That's just, I've seen it too much.
CJ?
So let me get this straight. So Monique has a problem with D.L. Hughley and them saying something about her husband, but she can talk about whoever she want to talk about, even when people ain't talked about her. So she threw a shot at Shaq for what? But it's like she's just this person that can just dish out whatever she want to dish out to people, and then when they kick it back, she becomes the victim. But it amazes me how none of her kids talk to her family don't talk to her, other celebrities don't really mess with her, but it's them, right? The only place in life where we'll see one person where all these people don't mess with her, and it's them. If it was anybody else, we'll be saying, "You think it's you? You think you're the reason why people think this?" Nope. Just with Monique, we like it's them and not her. It's not adding up to me. That don't make sense. Nobody.
Well, I mean, let's also be fair. This was kind of a setup on Unk's part, because a lot of people have asked about her rather odd relationship with her husband, and I'll grant you, her relationship with her husband does not make a lot of sense to me. It gives weird. And he kind of set that up as a sort of like, how can you be so open with this man and act like he raised you, like he's your father, whatever have you, when it seemed like that's, you know, and that was the setup for this clip, and that was the conversation around this clip sort of thing. And so it was, I think it was a bit of a setup on her part. she didn't bring it up. Let's put it this way. So I don't necessarily know that she intended to be speaking out on all of that necessarily. Kind of Mr. Sharp's fault. But I mean, to your point though, if enough people aren't talking to somebody or aren't doing stuff with somebody, it does cause one to wonder, are 50 people really that wrong? It's, if 50 people aren't drinking from that bowl, what's in there that nobody wants to, you sort of, you have to start asking those questions and having those thoughts. And yeah.
I think I missed something in the beginning of that clip. So all I caught was Monique saying that she's not taking advice from someone who doesn't have a woman, right?
So
and
yeah,
because I have to tap it and I didn't hear that. I don't think I heard the first part.
Shaq on his podcast was saying men should not vent to their partners. He shouldn't pillow talk to their partners. He shouldn't put their issues, their problems on their partners. And she was kind of saying, if you have a partner that's solid, who else are you supposed to talk to? And Shaq, you're not with anyone. Who are you to give advice?
Okay.
And you don't have a woman,
a partner. Right. Oh, I see. Okay.
He's also been married and had 5 kids, so I don't think he's completely.
He's not dismissed. From having someone. Okay. So I want to come back on that then. Well, now that I really have an understanding of the actual concept of the dialogue, then I actually am with Shaq to a certain extent. Some baggage needs to be sorted out with yourself. You understand? Like either you, yourself, and your therapist. It depends on how heavy the baggage is. That may be a little bit too much for your partner to carry. It depends on the dynamic of what it is that you're venting. Now, it seems like listening to, Auntie Monique, so to speak, and in regards to her relationship with her now current husband, he seems to have provided her such a safe space, in which she is, professing to us, and because the way she's speaking, I'm like, dang, like, I mean, that sounds kind of good, like, and I'm not saying that I don't have that already, but I understand what she's saying in regards to having her man as her protector and there to ensure that, business is being handled, so that everything that Black women go through, she doesn't have to go through. So I get that aspect in regards to her awe and her love and her admiration for her husband and how she sees him in regards to their dynamic. But Shaq is actually correct. I'm going to actually state that Shaq is correct to some extent. Not all things need to be vented to your spouse. It doesn't have to be in full details, but you probably want to find I would always suggest some form of mental health, outlet in that regards to really unpack, those loads that may be a bit much for one. And once you're able to process it within yourself and have an understanding as to what you are actually going through or maybe going through, then you can maybe share a little bit with your partner, like, yeah, I was going through this, or, so forth and so on. But because I noticed that a lot of, as a Black woman and, dating, I noticed that a lot of the men who weren't emotionally intelligent or whatnot would use women as their, informal therapist, so to speak. And then that can be a bit much. And depending on the, emotional maturity or, emotional intelligence also of their partner, then that's when obviously you get those messy situations like Cam was mentioning earlier. So yeah. That's one of those things. It's kind of, you want to weigh how heavy the load is that you are sharing, because some things may be just your own personal healing journey that you need to unpack and kind of sort out with yourself, and maybe a bit much for a partner.
I mean, from Monique's whole standpoint, if that's gonna be her viewpoint, her whole interview is negated. Like, that means you can't give us advice on anything. You can't give us advice on a hit movie. You can't give us advice on how to negotiate. You can't give us any advice because you didn't do it.
Whoa, but we can learn from her. We can learn from her mistakes. So just because folks don't do it, we still learn from what they didn't do. Okay? And she's actually being very honest about what she didn't do in the areas in which she, was insignificant or, didn't really have much knowledge in.
Then she got to say the same thing about Shaq.
Netflix offers you at $1.5 million. Take the damn deal.
I mean, you got other stuff.
And let's also. I mean, I think I would just like to put out there and say, when she's kind of dismissive, this is where I disagree with her. When she's dismissive of, are you going to talk to another man? Yes. Oh my God. Do other men need other dudes to talk to about stuff? Yes. 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 Like if there's anything, I remember there was a couple times, in life where I've been going through stuff. It's been wonderful to be surrounded by a positive group of men, all races. I've done men's group work. It's been awesome and amazing along the way. I think one of the amazing things about the Will Smith Oscar slap thing is that in the aftermath of that, in all that was going on in front of television cameras, it was Black men who leapt, in the case of Denzel Washington, from their seats and surrounded him and that situation and dealt with it that way. And I'm from the South, the old-fashioned Southern way, and dealt with that while the whole world is watching. And dealt with that, and it was a group of Black men that dealt with that situation and handled it in that moment. And in another day and time, that would not have been there. He would have been hauled out by the police, and Lord only knows what would have happened after that. But we're in a place now where that could have been. You had 12 wonderful guys who were able to handle that, and so it's like, yes. Sometimes as men, we need other men around us to help deal with the things and solve the problems. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Cam,
no, he's right. Cam is right.
No, Cam, I like you. I like your viewpoints. What color was the dude that he hit?
Also Black.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
don't do that.
No, I'm not saying that that's. But still, even within that, even if you have a group of all the same color, all the same cultural background. You're still gonna have the fact that you can still deal with that internally as a group, as an industry, as peers. If two peers have a problem, the rest of us can also. It can be good for the rest of us to get involved in that if that's what's called for in that moment, or because that is a form of a support network. Support networks come in different forms.
Let's take Will Smith out of this, Cam. I apologize. Let's make this a school. Let's make this a school, and another kid went up and hit another kid, and everybody circled the kid that hit the kid. What conversation are we having?
Ooh.
That's
okay.
GRDR.
Yeah, he said he didn't like it.
Legally blind. So
he said yes. GZDR4F. I actually didn't like seeing that. Now, one of them went on stage to comfort Chris Rock.
Thank you.
Match point. No. Match point. I mean, you got me there. Match point. Absolutely. Love 40. No, match point. Yeah, that's true.
But I still follow where you were going in regards to the bromance that nobody really talks about. Like, I think we do need to highlight the importance of the bro code, the support group. So back to what your point was, Cameron, in regards to the peers and having your like kind of like that barbershop sort of environment, camaraderie, to whereas yes, they all surrounded Will Smith, but yes, there should have been some brothers surrounding Chris Rock as well. But in to bring it back home and to bring that point, yes, it's okay for you to talk to your boys too. You don't have to tell everything to your girl. You can talk to your boys too if you don't.
After you find out if
talk about a moment that should have definitely been a conversation, not a slap on national television. That's an example of there was a better way to deal with that. Was a situation that was that not handled in a great way from start to finish.
The yak started to kick in. The yak, she did say all she needed was one sip of Unksa cognac.
I think one element that we're missing, though, women have been venting to each other since the beginning of time.
Easy.
Like, that's what they do. Women have gotten such bad advice from other women, and good advice, but mostly bad advice for decades, and have allowed them to make life-altering decisions.
Oh my God.
So, I have literally seen a female talk another female out of dating someone, and then she went and dated the guy that she was like, checkmate, gotcha. So you have to be careful with anyone you talk to, male, female. Just make sure they have the best interest at heart. And because some people are out there playing, 4-dimensional chess, and we're out here playing Connect 4, thinking they're our friends, and that's checkmate.
No. In my book Sweetgrass Saga, my two best gal pals are the cook and the housekeeper, Brenda and Hattie. And Brenda is named after Brenda Parker, who does a reenactment of one of George Washington's maids at Mount Vernon. And Hattie is in honor of Hattie McDaniel's first woman to win an Oscar. And so it's cook and the housekeeper. And they have lots of great moments, smoking, drinking, talking in the cookhouse, all this type of thing. And they're my gal pals all the way through. They're like who are holding it down. And it is, and some of those interactions are friends, because they also don't like the lady in the laundry. We don't like her, and so there's lots of fun interactions with that. I was just editing that section last night with the lady in the laundry, and so yeah, I mean yes, it has been there for a long. It has been that way for a long time. But again, it's about the support network. It's about the peer network, and I think other men should be reaching out to the men emotionally. Not every problem is suitable for your partner, your romantic partner, all the time, and that road goes both ways. And I think people say, oh, that's, I could imagine not being able to confess everything to them. I'm like, every relationship is different. I think you have to do what works best for yours. I have to say, though, and I would talk about this a lot in my own relationship. We are two individuals with our own friends, our own lives, and when we come together, we make it more. And we're more because we both bring something with us when we arrive at that table. And I think if you both can't bring something, friends, a life, all this type of thing, then there's going to have imbalance, and there's going to be problems from that, and all this type of thing. So when two whole people come together, you make something bigger. Whereas when you have people that only are bringing bits and pieces, then you end up with not quite a whole, or you end up with kind of a glued together mosaic that's not so good. So yes, and I think Monique has obviously found someone on husband number 3 that finally works for her, and God bless it. Sort of thing. But I think everyone kind of has to keep their own counsel and do what's best for them. Your mileage may vary.
She had one quote, and I wish I would have chopped it up, when she was talking about her third marriages, and I think she said the first marriage she just wanted to get out the house. The second marriage, she just needed someone to pay her rent. So she only counts this marriage, and I'm like, holy.
Yeah, that was we all caught that.
But I think another thing gets lost in that she took that shot got a lot of money, right? And she took a shot at him. It's a microcosm of who she is. Like, she probably done this she showed it on the big stage. She's probably taking shots at people so many times over the years. They wouldn't do nothing. You don't know what Shaq would have did after this interview. You know what? I'm gonna bring Monique on the he got the comedy thing. I'm gonna bring her on that. Took a shot at him for no reason. So now you done blackballed yourself from him. So like, she probably does this all the time.
I get what you're saying. I mean, and she's a comedian, is she not? So every now and then it looks like she throws in a few jabs. So
let it be funny when they come back to you. Like, it's like DL said, she's a comedian when she's kicking it out, but when they kick it back to her and DL say, well, you claim your husband on your taxes. No, don't touch family. Don't touch relatives. Like, all of a sudden things are off limits. But don't touch Shaq love life. Joke Shaq. Don't joke what he got going on. Give the same respect that you want back.
She loves us for real. So let me get to the main event clip. We could talk about Tyler Perry. We've almost gone as long as she has, but this was the clip that kind of cut me the most. The way that Cal Jones treated her. So let's just see this clip.
Kevin Hart.
Not Cal Jones.
Now, you know when Cat Williams said gatekeepers?
Yeah.
Kevin Hart. I do his podcast.
Yes.
And I want y'all to re-listen to the podcast so you can hear it for yourself. When he first comes on, he says, "You're like my mother. You're like my aunt. You're like my sister." Okay? Then we do the podcast. We speak about the Tyler Perry situation. Oprah Winfrey, he said, "I don't really know Oprah, but I'm going to reach out to Tyler." I appreciate that. Kevin kept his word. He reached out to Tyler Perry. Kevin Hart called me back about maybe a week or so later. He said, "Mo, I talked to Tyler. He said he don't want to revisit it. He said, but I tell you what, let's move past that, Mo. Let's just move past that and let's just do great things. So whatever
That's what Kevin said.
I want you to hear me, Kevin Hart. Let's move past that, Mo. Let's do some great things together. Don't even worry about it. Whatever y'all want to do, I will partner with you. I'll executive produce with you. You just let me know what you want to do." Now, let me say that before we go any further, because I want to make sure I give Kevin Hart his proper credit. When my family was up against the wall, Kevin Hart wrote us a check and said, "Here you go." We're forever grateful for that. When we were able to give it back, we said, "Brother, we appreciate you," with some interest on top, because I don't ever want nobody to think me and my husband. So I want to make sure I put that out there. That brother really helped us out when we needed to be helped out. Then when he came back with, "I got you," I didn't ask Kevin Hart to do anything. He said, "I'll executive produce. I'll partner with you." I said, "Good shit, Kevin," because we're in a deal with Endemol, and we're trying to get our talk show back. Mo, whatever it is, I got you. Now, Kevin Hart is one of the biggest entertainers right now in the world, right? And was then. We got off the phone with Kevin Hart. We called Endemol immediately and said, Kevin Hart said, whatever we want to do, he got us. He's going to partner, executive use. They was like, "Oh, this is incredible," because when you put Kevin Hart name on it, you already know what it is.
Correct.
2 weeks go by. We get a call from Endemol. Endemol says, "We just got a call from Kevin Hart's manager, Dave Becky." And Dave Becky said, "Kevin doesn't want anything to do with Monique. So whatever she told y'all, he doesn't want to do anything with her, nothing. You know, he doesn't want any kind of relationship with Monique."
So what changed between?
Why'd you do it like that, Kyle?
I'm so tired of victims, man. I can't do it. Like, I'll do this episodes just to do entertainment, but it's draining. So out of all of that, let me give him his credit. He wrote a check when our back was against the wall. That's all that matters. Everything else you say, I don't even care about. When your back was against the wall, Kevin wrote the check. Not your husband, not the dude that raised you, the dude that you're married to, the dude that gave vows and said that he'll take care of you. Another man came and wrote your check. So Kevin Hart ain't got to do nothing else. If I ever pay somebody rent or write them a check or whatever to get them by, don't come to me all of a sudden saying that I didn't give you a job. This is what I'm talking about with her. The dude wrote a check when your back was against the wall and you still come out and dog the dude out because he didn't give you a call back. You know what? When the facts change, your decision changed. Maybe Kevin Hart thought something. He went around, started asking around. People gave opinions. He changed his mind. That's his money. He established himself. He has his own company, as Cam say, make a way for yourself. Kevin has done that. Through all this whole interview, I never heard Monique say anything about what she did. She goes over it real quick. Well, I got my mouth, but she'll brag about what she do. My mouth this, my mouth this. If you say something, I'm gonna say something back. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Where'd they get Dame Dash at? What Jay had to do? Because you can't come into meetings, acting like that. You still gotta act a certain way. That's in every part of life. And I don't know why people giving her a pass. The same thing with Cat Williams. He started the interview off. Every spot that Kevin Hart got, I had it first. So I don't care about the rest of the interview. You turned all the positions down, and Kevin Hart, he took them. So now you're gonna throw shots at him? I don't get it. So I don't do the victim thing.
Well,
shots fired. And you got her. Hold on, we got a little comment here.
Comment.
Leave this for the boy.
If you play more of the clip, she said Kevin ghosted her for 2 years. That's wrong. It's like he said, "Yeah, I will work with you just to get rid of her." Thank you. Thank you, GZ. Yes, DR forever. That was the point that I was actually going to make as well. What happened is she thought that she had a friend in Kevin Hart. Is from my understanding of her story. She thought she had a friend in Kevin Hart, as we saw, as she explained and gave him credit and acknowledged the fact that he was there for her. But also in being there for her, he had also made some promises. You see, there was a dialogue. Oh man, your back's against the wall. I know what that's like. Here you go to get you, to hold you guys over. In addition to this, I'm going to get you put on so that basically you can get back to making your own money. You and I are going to do something together. So what happens is, it's like you and I, okay, Cal, I'm coming on your show. Oh man, great. That Cal, that's what's up, because you guys are on After Dark. It's lit, right? The next thing you know, someone else outside, I never met this person, I don't know this person, is calling me and saying like, yeah, you know what, Cal? Yeah, Cal's not gonna do the show with you. Yeah, Cal's not doing a show with you. And you're like, wait, and I'm like, wait, I spoke to Cal directly. What are you talking about? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Yo, Cal, this dude is saying this, or I'm gonna take care of it, and you never call me back. Cal, what kind? You think it's okay just because you cut a check? So you think the money that is that it?
Yes, it's okay.
Yes. Oh,
yes.
Well, then that's okay. So that you basically.
No, I think. I think Monique likes to echo what Cat Williams says about gatekeepers and who the favorites of who gets picked to be the golden people in Hollywood and who doesn't. And it's and very truly, it's who is willing to play certain games or not. And that's let's say that's a lot of industries. I mean, I used to work in fashion. It was that way. The bigger fashion industry is certainly that way. We don't like them, but we do like them. It's like we don't like this person over here, but we do like Rodard. All this sort of thing. And I think that is, I think both of them have that complaint of, and to your point, Cal, it does kind of come off as bitter Betty of, well, the Cat Williams didn't become Hollywood's favorite. Monique didn't become Hollywood's favorite, sort of thing, and who's responsible for that, all this type of thing. Now, I do think, though, less so for Cat Williams because he most certainly has a career and makes his own money, more so for Monique. There were people that definitely made sure opportunities didn't flow in that direction. Cat Williams, honestly, complain less, sir. You're doing well. Complain less. Monique, I think, is a little bit larger of an axe to grind because it has not gone well with her so much. And so I think it does seem kind of like who is, really stopping these opportunities from flowing, and who gets, and that's, and again, that's gotta hurt when someone promises like that, and that's money, that's connections, that's distribution, that's network, all this type of thing, and for them to all of a sudden, not even themselves through management to come along and say, oh no, we're not doing any of that, sort of thing. That, even if it's like, okay, let's move on and find the next opportunity, and I'm with you, yes, that's a tough pill. That'd be a tough one for me to swallow. That would be a tough one for me to swallow.
Especially when you have a personal relationship, I agree.
And I got to hear it from a third party. Oh no, please call me yourself and tell me that. Don't let me hear it through management. Don't let me hear it through management. Please, no. Call me yourself. That's just polite.
Yeah. Say this happened and, like I said, Spotify says, you know what? We want to buy the Down and Den franchise. We wanted the whole team, $120 million deal. We give you that Joe Rogan money, but we don't like that Cal Jones. He offends people for some reason. The women don't like the things he says. We're gonna have to, maybe replace him or something like that. You would hate if a manager called you and was like, "Yo, Cal, sorry, I know
we can do, yeah.
I saw you on the entrance video, but it's nothing we can do now." The bare minimum would be like, "Yo, it's hot right now. Give me 6 months, bro. Get you cool you down, and then we'll bring you back in the play. In the meantime, here's a little bit of bread, but at the same time, there's always three sides to every story. And the more I hear from Monique, yes, she has definitely been blackballed. Yes, she has definitely been lied to. Yes, she has definitely been treated unjust. And her resume speaks for itself. But I don't think, with anything, she's 100% innocent. I feel there's some arrogance with her. I feel there's some attitude with her that at the end of the day, when you don't cut the check and you don't have your own, and you're not your own boss, you put yourself in people's hands. When Hollywood dried up for Cat Williams, he made sure that he was on tour, that he was making his money, that he was able to still do his thing. Because if you're funny, funny will travel. And you can book these shows, and you can book these arenas, and you can. I feel like
Kathy Griffin had to do that after the Trump mask thing. She had no management, no agent, no nobody. She was her and her husband and an assistant, and that was it. And she has had the last 6 years finally just started to have management again. She's had to do it on her own. I mean, Cat Williams was smart. He made sure to, because he said on his interview, I always have pockets full of money, so that's never, like, he was smart, all this type of thing. I think that's why I said Monique shouldn't have screwed up Netflix. Like, go get paid. Like, yeah. I mean, it is a terrible situation. And I think there are definitely within Black Hollywood. I think there's definitely a even before you get to the white folk, there's a gatekeepery system, and you have to play the game. And I think that's what Whoopi would have told her way back in the day is, look, it's hard enough out here for us already. Sometimes you got to be playing the games. And that's, and Whoopi was there when she got on The View all those years ago. She was hard up for cash and needed a job. Hollywood Squares was over. She hadn't had a movie in forever. Their sitcom didn't get past one season, all this type of thing. And Barbara Walters gave her a shot. And no one really thought she could do that. Like, you're going to do daytime television? Okay, I guess, sort of thing. And she kind of played the game and has now turned it into a career, and she only has to work 4 days a week. And so she's gotten Troy to do Fridays. So lucky her. And so, I mean, that's, I think she would have been like, yeah, if you want to play at this level, this is the game. And if you're okay with that, welcome aboard. If you're not, then you're going to be in a different situation.
And I think
sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think, and that was where the naive, that's where her comes into play in that regard. It's like, oh, wait, you guys don't care that I've done all of this and I've made it to this level? Oh, it's like that everywhere? Yeah. Oh my God. Hey guys, did you know this? And then she's a sister from Be More. So then that comes into play, it's like, I'm going to give my money. And then it got a little rough. And obviously the delivery wasn't acceptable and accepted by all. As you say, Cal, she's she speaks, you say she speaks how she speaks. She says whatever she wants out of her mouth and so forth and so on. But I hope, and it seems like over the years she's learned that it hasn't gotten her far as well. So, seems like her husband and her working on herself, and she seems to have polished herself up, and she understands where she's gone wrong. It looks like it. There seems to be some remorse there, Mars. I saw some remorse in.
I'm sure her bank account has some remorse, I definitely probably think when she looks and says, damn, I would like to get this bathroom remodeled, but Precious 2 isn't on the agenda.
Oh, God.
I mean, I hope that somebody somewhere, Amazon or somebody, gives her an hour special for a nominal fee that gets the career back on the ground. I feel like she could have a great third act. I think if Eartha Kitt can bring it back around after causing the First Lady of the United States to cry, which did nothing for her career for 15 years, I feel like Monique could have a really great third act. But I think there's a bit of humility that's going to have to be there to be kind of like, and it may be on Amazon Prime, and it may only be $800,000, but take the check, schlep out to Amazon, do the special, get back on top, and then let's see what may happen after that.
Keep trending.
What was the great first act from Monique?
The Parkers.
The Parkers.
Queens of Comedy tour. I mean,
What
she's
is it, like
she's
UPN?
a great stand-up. She's a genuinely good stand-up.
I've never heard anybody say Monique coming into town. We about to go see her.
Whoa.
I've never seen this demand for this. I've never seen nobody say the Parkers come on tonight. Let me DVR that. What are we doing?
I am her demographic. I am the demographic. I am that little girl that was watching her and Countess Vaughn with, the laugh down to the giggle all the way to the end. I can sing the entire song for you. Hold on.
Is UPN even still out?
No, I think it's something else now. What is it? I forget what it's called. It's something else now. But
WB? No.
No, it's changed names and hands many times. Yeah, CW. That's what it is now. Yeah, it's which is now Warner Media, which is a whole disaster. Don't do business with Warner Media right now. They're playing games.
The Parkers went into syndication. Matt, $2 billion. Made $2 billion. That's what she said. That's what she said.
Yeah, I like to do I do my own research though. I get it. If she, I want to see those numbers myself.
I get you. Yeah,
no. I have a bit of an issue with how the hell did the Parkers make $2 billion in syndication? Like, that hasn't been on in a long time. Like, I haven't seen that on air in a long time. Like, I do have a question about the numbers and figures of all of that, but it did go into syndication while it was still on the air, and I think there is some money there that she has not been paid. Is it billions? No, maybe tens of millions, but that's okay. That's okay. But my point is that all was great. She is a name. We've spent the last 2 hours talking about her, so there's that. So take the Amazon Prime stand-up special with a budget of not a whole lot, do it at a theater in Baltimore as a homecoming thing, and use that as your springboard for bigger and better things. Because if they have a great experience with you, there's new opportunities. She does not have to go back to Oprah Winfrey begging for thread. She does not have to ever talk to Tyler Perry ever again. There's the rest of the industry she can work with and not deal with them. But I think she's going to have to, do that one thing that's going to get her back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, schlep out to Amazon Prime, do a special for $500,000 at a theater, get back on top.
It gets less and less
every 2 minutes I'm lowering the money.
Cam, I don't like your negotiating skills.
You could be making less to us soon. Go get that $2,000.
Hiring $15 an hour. You get all the numbers you can need. It's a really good deal.
He's doing her worse than me.
But that's my point, though, is that if she wants to get back in the game, these are the decisions and conversations that may have to be had. Unfortunately, you may have to have Jeff Bezos have you for that amount of money.
Well, she did stop it with the Oprah. She did announce that she's on a Cat Williams tour, so that should get her back up and running, get her trending. Keep her going. So she's back in the.
That's a nice check. Yeah, that's a nice check.
But y'all skipped over something. Don't do Tyler Perry like this.
Oh, Lord.
Not Medea.
Y'all skipped over something. How far was Monique down that she had to go get somebody to write a check for her? What was you doing?
I mean, it sounds like she was
down. She was blacklisted. She was making, she said, $2 million a year.
Go get a job. You got a whole husband. Then he made promises to her too.
He's her manager. He gets 10% of what she's making. So 10% of zero. I'm not a bad.
He's like, I'm gonna just sit here with you too.
I ain't got. I ain't mess with that on my.
He said, I'm gonna sit here with you too while we ain't making no money.
No, he said he's going to take care of it. See, she said that's when she knew that she was with a man. That's when, because I think she was handling it, and then I think the roles switched where he was back as the king. Like they just shifted like naturally.
Back as the king. He stopped being the king.
We have a question.
Listen, she always acknowledges him as a king. Do the panel think actors' salaries should be made public the same way athletes and CEOs are? It could help in some way if a director or studio tried to lowball an actor, they would receive backlash.
I agree with that.
Actors, I think all industries have complete transparency when it comes to what they're paying. Because we all know there are people that are doing the same exact job that are getting paid pennies on the dollar.
I worked in an office where I got a 7% raise and the rest of the office only got 5%, and they all told them there wasn't enough money for bigger raises. And I stood out and said, well, that's BS because I got 7%. And people got pissed off, and rightly so. And rightly so, by the way. I wasn't even mad. I'm like, no, they did y'all bad, and you all should go address that with them. Like, sort of thing. I mean, yes, I think that absolutely. And here's the thing about it. The whole pay equity thing, this isn't even a black, white, color issue. This has been an issue between men and women in mainstream A-list white Hollywood for quite some time, particularly on how women, especially even white women, can get terribly underpaid for comparable roles. And television movies are bad enough. Television is even more brutal. That came up when they were casting for The Crown, and that Matt Smith was getting paid more than Claire Foy, who was literally playing the Queen, and people thought it was unfair. She's the title character, she's the title role, and is making less than Matt Smith, who was who maybe worked 3 weeks of the whole production because he didn't have that many scenes in the first season. And it was like, well, and someone said, like, well, here's the reality. At that time, Claire Foy was a nobody. No one knew who she was. Matt Smith had just come off Doctor Who, and he was in British television, he was the biggest name going at the time and commanded the salary, even in America, for being the biggest thing going in British television. And she was an unknown, so she got less money, all this type of thing. But this is where pay transparency would be helpful, because then you at least know where you're starting from.
Yes.
And I think that can be incredibly helpful in understanding, what ballpark to put your mind into. And as someone who works for myself and has to negotiate my own contracts and all this type of thing, it can be sometimes hard to say, you don't want to overshoot, as because it's like, do you want the business, but you don't want to overshoot. There's always that balancing act. And so you have to go and research and, what's the industry scene, all this type of thing. Mm-hmm. I think some transparency would be helpful, especially in entertainment, because it's so subjective and people will play games. Absolutely play games.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest story to look at when it comes to taking sometimes you have to take not the most favorable deal. Look at Iron Man. That very first movie, Robert Downey Jr. had just come off of being blackballed completely. He had been in prison. He was known for just effing up on set, even though he was an extremely talented actor. But he had troubles. Terrence Howard was actually paid far more because he had just come off of Hustle Flow and several other successful movies when they shot the first Iron Man. But the movie became such a success and arguably launched the biggest franchise in Hollywood history. By the end of the day, Robert Downey Jr. was making $100 million, $150 million for these roles, and Terrence Howard was playing one of the lions. So it's a very fine balance. And sometimes you have to take that low deal and bet on yourself that your performance is going to get you to the next level. And then there's sometimes that no matter what your performance calls for, you're going to get the raw end of the stick because you don't have stroke. So I think that is where self-reflection and knowing where you are and what you bring to the table is all about at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, and that's the understanding, bringing full circle, understanding your value and your worth and what you're bringing to the table and what you can do, and also understanding how much money is being made off of you. I think that's one of the kind of the toughest things in all of that is when you have people depending on you. I know people said I'm responsible for other people getting their bills paid, so I have to be very good at what I do. And that's that was its own thing and problem of understanding, okay, if you're going to make X, my price has gone up. It's like when I do negotiations for futures and speaking at big corporate starts at $10,000. My other businesses, we do 2 to 8. But you're a Fortune 500. I will not walk into your building for less than $10,000. I don't know where the airport is for less than $10,000. Like, it's only right over there. I can't. It's like, ooh, the Acela station is so far away for less than $10,000. They're only in New York. I'm only 2 hours away. Like, sort of thing. Like, you have to understand what league you're playing in. And that's where the naivete that Nique mentioned comes in. You have to understand what league you're playing in. If I'm supposed to go to New York and give a speech to a big corporation, yeah, that's $10,000. If I'm going to do a small trade organization of concrete manufacturers in the Midwest, they can pay $4,000. Like, that's fine. that's their lane, and we're going to be grateful for that check. And you'll see me in Indianapolis. So I think you have to understand the league and where you're at, and what you're doing, and what lane you're playing. And I think and here's where I think Monique's right. I think she's learned this lesson the hard way. Don't get caught up in the fame monster. Because it will cost you money. It certainly has her.
Moral of the story. This is the moral of the story.
And I think
the moral of a lot of these stories, actually. At the end.
lot of these stories. On the man. And crack. I think those two go hand in hand. But I think that is a perfect. We have one more comment.
A dangerous precedent could be what Jonathan Majors will go through. We know he is a great actor, but because he got in trouble, he is going to have to do a lot of givebacks and compromise his salary just be put on again. Just to be put on again, I guess is what they're saying. That is a director's dream scenario.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. We did a
They want you to
not incorrect. Not incorrect at all.
On Jonathan Majors, he might have to go see this guy. What?
Let's just hope no more acrimony. No more acrimony. We don't know how she got off the boat. Like, no more of that. Like,
don't you touch it looking good, Jonathan Majors. We're right.
But that's anybody's dream scenario, though. I mean, how many crackheads that you pay like $10 to cut your whole yard? Like, they got an issue. All they need the money to go.
Personally attacked here.
I wasn't talking about you. I've done it.
Yeah, conscious.
We gotta stop separating these things to just like Hollywood. I like to bring things out just like in real life. And we got this like moral compass with just Hollywood people, and you should do this and you should negotiate that. We do this all the time. If I got a pair of shoes that's worth $400, but somebody's gonna pay $900, I'm not gonna say, well, I won't take the $900. I'll take $400 because it's worth that. I'm gonna get the $900. We negotiate all the time. They just do it on a higher level. And in negotiations, your job is to get the best deal for you. Ain't nobody here turning down no good deal. Even if they know in their mind, like, well, this penny is not worth $200. It's worth 1 cent. I'm gonna still sell it if somebody buys it for $200. So what's the difference between that and then Hollywood?
Well, that's understanding the league you're playing in, and sometimes it's the location, it's the scarcity, it's that you have it, you can have it now. Like, that's the shoe game. I like to sell. I sell a lot of stuff on it. Like, that's the shoe game. It's kind of like you could wait for a better deal, but I also have these in a box for you right now. Like you can walk away with it today, sort of thing. Like, it sometimes can be a matter, and I do the same thing. Sometimes I'm kind of like, I probably overpaid for this, but I don't have to go out and try to find more of it and play the game, all this type of thing. I was able to just boom, done, move along. Like, that's the thing. You have to understand league and container and where you're at and what you're doing, and that's where, and unfortunately, that's a hard lesson to learn if you don't know that.
Oh, Cam, you just messed yourself up.
Why?
So you know that you overpaid for the shoes, right?
Yeah.
So you don't think Monique know that she was underpaid for those roles, or underpaid for anything she was doing, and she still signed up for it?
No, that's why I say it's a hard lesson.
Oh, so I want to know.
I'm saying in a roundabout way, I do agree with you, and this is the hard lesson: is that you're right. You do have to negotiate your own deal. You do have to advocate for yourself. That's, I think, the hard lesson that is come out of all of this in a weird way.
So should we feel sympathy?
I don't necessarily feel sympathy over the money as much as I feel the sympathy over the treatment. It's the personal stuff that has me more than the money. The money is things that she did not do that was not necessarily so smart, and she kind of half admits that, not overtly, but kind of subtext. You can kind of see that that's kind of like, poor decisions were made. the personal interactions, the personal treatment, how all of that went down, the fact that this is, for better or for worse, still a hot topic all these years later, and there hasn't been the type of, I think, conversations and whatnot that I think she really deserves. That's what I think bothers me the most. As I said from the very beginning, it hurts more when it comes from our own than kind of anywhere else. And that's where I think the issue lies. The money is the money, but it's the personal interaction. That's what hurts. That's what hurts.
But Shannon Sharp said something in the interview, though. He said you can't chase a lie. So what if she's lying? Then what? No matter what I say, I can never come back what she say because she's lying. So that's why maybe people just don't even say anything.
Lying because the video,
Tyler Perry, she was right about.
Perry has come out.
I mean, I think here's the great thing about
the stylist as well. She's saying that everything that she's saying can be accounted for if we go back in any of her recorded, interviews and whatnot. So everything she's saying can be confirmed according to.
Here's the other. I think the good part is with all of this hubbub this week that has happened and all this sort of thing, the truth will out, as we like to say, as my British friends would say, the truth will out. And that's what. So if there's anything here that doesn't pass the test, we will know in no short time. Lord knows the Shade Room is working night and day on Black Twitter. Yes, people. Yes, the social media goes night and day. If there's any whatever it is, all this stuff, the truth will out. The truth will out. I mean, DLQ already did the from my couch video to say his piece about it already. So the truth will out, and if there's discrepancies, then that's worth talking about too. No one's above anything. Nobody gets a pass for having discrepancies in their story. Be honest, be upfront. And if there's a problem, then there's a problem, and believe me, we'll find out soon enough. It won't take long.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this has been a phenomenal episode, one of the best episodes of this early year. I have to thank my illustrious panel. I'm going to give you guys, we're going to go around the room and I want to give the audience at home just an opportunity to check out these incredible artists that have spent so much of their time this evening to talk about Auntie Mo and Unc. So I'll start with you, Nique New. If you could, please just let the people know where they can find you and anything you want to promote. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, you all can find me on all your social media platforms at Are You Mad? That's ARGH, the letter U, MAD. Right now, we have just relaunched our website in which we're offering mindful coaching classes. So this is something new in which we're giving out free classes for Black Future Month, starting the 15th until the end of the year, until the end of the month, until the 29th. So from February 15th to the 29th, you can go ahead and click the link and book a free Black Future special mindful session.
Please check her out. Monique, give her a call. I think she can help you.
Oh, no. I pay homage to the elders. So I still give her respect because she still is elder. She still is
like, you calling me old?
No. You know what I mean? I give that regard, and she can probably teach me something is what I'm trying to say. But I understand that the children do have the ability to also, educate the elders too. But
tell her, don't say no to Netflix. Cal, please let the people know where to find you.
First thing, thank y'all for letting me on the show. I got jumped by the gatekeepers of the den. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be blackballed from all the other podcasts. But Cal Jones, Sports Unfiltered, the Den. I don't know, Mars. I like this lineup. Like it's diverse. Everybody got different opinions. We all can articulate ourselves. Everybody got good internet connection. I had the worst, but it'll get better. I really enjoyed tonight's show. But TikTok, Cal Jones 813, Instagram the same thing. Cal Jones 757 on Facebook.
Please check him out and check out the amazing sports shows. And if you've been listening to Cal Jones Sports Unfiltered, blow the whistle, and you've been following my bets, you've made a lot of money
Yeah.
$Shine930 is my cash app. I want my 10%. Cam, please.
Oh my goodness. No, Cal, I appreciate you, Cal. I love your perspective. It makes for great listening. I would have you on my show, but I don't do sports. So maybe we'll have to get together and find something to talk about for 45 minutes.
Neither do we, Cam. Neither do we.
No, we don't. We look at it 5 minutes before we come on.
That's
so we'll find something to talk about for 45 minutes. But so my name is Cameron Lee Cowan. You can visit me at CameronJournal.com. I'm at Cameron Cowan on Twitter and Instagram, Cameron L. Cowan on Facebook, and Cameron Journal on TikTok. I have new interviews with authors coming out at least every once a week, and podcasts, all this type of thing. If you want to find it all, it's easy to find, CameronJournal.com, and watch the space because we have new books coming out this year. Including a reissue of my first book, and a book about millennials, America's Lost Generation, and hopefully, fingers crossed, a Sweetgrass Saga, which is a Southern epic set in 1850 that, like Downton Abbey, does upstairs, downstairs, where we get to see antebellum plantation from both perspectives, white and black. So I'm in the middle of revising it right now. We'll hopefully have that out this year. So watch this space, and pre-orders will be coming out soon for it. So
please check that out. I'm gonna check it out. It's gonna be a must read, and I don't like reading. Don't let the glasses fool you. So if I'm gonna check out the book, it's good. So please support Cam. He is a phenomenal everything. And please check out our episode of Politicking as Usual that's out right now. And guys, you know who I am. It's your boy Mars from Mars Media. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for people in Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. I said Facebook already. X, which is the same as Twitter. Thank everybody for tuning in tonight. The best way to support the channel is our merch. And right now we do have a sale going on where you can get cool things like this Down in the Den hat, or tasty things like this mug with, look, the resemblance is uncanny. So if you want to support the network, that's the best way to do. Just copy that link, buy yourself a shirt, buy yourself a hat. You can get discounts using Cal Jones, CALJONES, or Nique New, NIKKINU, right on the site, and get yourself some discounted merch. Guys, once again, thank you so much. Cal, you're right. This lineup was phenomenal. Nique, you are Le Magnifique. Cameron, you are Le Magnifique. Cal Jones, you are Le Magnifique. You guys are welcome any single. It's not the homophobia, brother. It's 2024, damn it. I could blow.
No, I love talking to Nique. Her and I haven't talked since I accidentally did her show, which is a health and wellness show, and I came on to talk about politics. So I love talking to you again.
Do it all, baby. We got the whole spectrum covered in this room alone. So you know what to do, guys. I ask one thing, which is technically three things: like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you support all of my partners here that made this show so enjoyable to you. The replay will be in about an hour and 45 minutes at midnight, wherever you stream your audio at. So, guys, for the After Dark crew, we appreciate you for tuning in. And we will check you out next time. We're out. Deuces.
Peace.